Hello and welcome to a tutorial on work breakdown structures, which are part of the Project Management Professional Designation and Learning series here at Ipsos. Work breakdown structures are part and parcel of a very important process within the project scope management knowledge area, and we're going to talk about that today. So here we go. Scope management overall is really one of the 10 knowledge areas that are defined in the Project Management Book of Knowledge, the PMBOK. And the process that we're going to focus on today is this fourth process here, which is create work breakdown structure. It's part of the planning process and a very critical process in ensuring that you've got all of the scope at the end of a huge planning process defined out and ready for execution. So, creating work breakdown structures really are about understanding how to subdivide project deliverables and project work into smaller manageable tasks so that we can assign them out, we can cost towards them, and we can put a quality metric towards them as we are planning further into execution of these tasks. As we're talking about project management professional designation and project management professional or the project management institute methodologies, it's important to learn about the inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs that are encompassed within the create work breakdown structure process. The inputs are scope management plan, which came out of the first process in this knowledge area. Project scope statement, which really defines out what it is that we're trying to do for this particular project. Requirements documentation as to what the requirements are, further to the project scope statement definition. There are other inputs as well called enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets that really are outside the control of the project, yet can impact the project and can make a difference. Enterprise environmental factors obviously are ones outside of the organization, and organizational process assets are within the organization. Tools and techniques that we will use to create work breakdown structures are decomposition, and as the name suggests, you're really taking a major task and decomposing it further into manageable pieces. And in the use of expert judgment, you're able to better define out what that work breakdown structure is going to look like, and at the end what the work packages and what define these terms look like at the end of the day. Outputs, of course, of this process group are scope baseline, which includes the project scope statement, work breakdown structure, and a definition dictionary of the work breakdown structure, and that is called the Work Breakdown Structure Dictionary. And any other project documents that need to be updated as a result of this process. What is the work breakdown structure? There really are key elements, and without this, the project essentially will take longer. Elements will slip through the cracks, and projects will be negatively affected. And this is the reason for this is that the work breakdown structure is a deliverable-oriented tool and output. It is includes the complete scope of the project, which includes the product scope, project scope, and the project management efforts that are needed so that you can actually accomplish what the deliverables are for your project. The best way to understand it, though, is to practice. So let's practice it a bit. Okay, many people simply make things of a to-do list to do their work, and they use that as a method of defining activities on a project. This is a huge mistake, actually, and the next illustration will tell us why. So, looking at this, can you explain why the image on the right, which is the list, is not as good as the one on the left? So, giving you a couple of seconds to think about that, I think may be very, very apparent. But let's share some thoughts and insights with you guys. So, the list here may not include all the deliverables, whereas the work breakdown structure, by the nature of defining the hierarchical structure, you tend to think about all of the various pieces and the various floats that are needed to get a particular deliverable done. the list does not break project into smaller pieces. Essentially, the list looks crazily long if you start including all the various pieces. Whereas on a work breakdown structure format, which is a hierarchical format, it's easier to see this kind of a long list, and it doesn't look so tedious. The work breakdown structure also allows a team to walk through it as expert judgment is needed to get through one piece to another, whereas a to-do list can be just done by one person and it's done. The process of creating the work breakdown structure better helps us better understand what the project really is, because you really are nailing down everything in the project scope. And anything that's defined out in the project scope, you're also ensuring that it's figured out in there. Okay. So, as we mentioned, creating the WBS, it is a deliverables-oriented tool. So the first part here really is the project title, the project name. And then the first level here typically is the same as a project lifecycle. However, they can be called control accounts as well. So these could be legal, staffing, project execution, pilot team, etc., etc. And the little pieces here that are later levels beyond the first one are really broken down further, and the last level therefore then is called a work package. It really consists of all the things that need to be done and the actions that need to be achieved. So it's important to understand here two things. First thing to understand is that this package here is called a work package, and it builds up into a control account. You see there's a code assigned to it as well, and that's the second piece to this. There's always a code assigned to a level that rolls up into the above level, and that helps us actually assign costs and roll up costs to make it more manageable to understand and review the entire scope of the project. Some of these rules have already been defined, but the one specifically of interest and to note is that deliverables not in the WBS are not part of the project. And essentially it means that if you're part of the project, you have to be defined out in the WBS as a task right down to the work package. So how do you know you've achieved the work package actually, the lowest level in the WBS? You are completed it quickly, you've completed it without interruption, and it's a piece that actually can be outsourced. So you know that you've reached the end of it and you're passing that off to somebody else to do. When you are scheduling activities, you can define out work packages further and call them essentially activities. And that helps within the project team to be able to schedule things a little more efficiently. So let's review again to keep the WBS relationships clear in our minds. We start off with the project. Projects are broken down into control accounts, further into work packages that can be created into activities and assigned out to various pieces for a scheduling perspective. The work packages are defined out in a tool called an output called a WBS dictionary. The WBS dictionary and the WBS structure, which is the entire structure here, plus the project scope statement make up the full deliverable and the output for this process group. That was it. That was the work breakdown structures. I hope you have found this beneficial. If you have any questions, you may reach out to me via my email that's located on the screen. Thank you and have a great day.